Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're unpacking a really compelling case study. It's all about the challenges of brand awareness, specifically for an in-home care agency in a super competitive market. We're looking at this source, case study CareBuilders At Home Rockstig, which it really pulls back the curtain on some of those subtle, often internal hurdles businesses face, when they're trying to get seen and grow.
Exactly. And our mission here really is to get under the hood and understand why this agency, even though they had a strong local team, was, well, struggling to get new clients. We'll look at the strategies that were proposed and, maybe most interestingly, dig into the internal hesitations that kind of stalled things out. It's a fantastic real-world example. Offers some incredibly valuable insights, I think maybe even surprising ones, for anyone trying to navigate a crowded market space. Because sometimes the biggest block isn't the competition outside, it's, friction inside the company, maybe even its basic structure.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack this. So we're talking about the Georgia branch of CareBuilders At Home. They're a part of a growing network, right? Offering non-medical stuff like personal support, helping people stay independent, giving families peace of mind. Their goals seem pretty straightforward: boost brand awareness, get the phone ringing more, attract more clients. And they also wanted to build on some traction they already had with a local assisted living facility.
Right. But the core problem, the absolute nub of it for CareBuilders At Home in Georgia, was basically operating as an unknown brand. And doing it in a market that was already saturated, highly competitive. I mean, the Atlanta metro area where they are, it's just packed. Packed with established senior care providers, both medical and non-medical. And that competition, it's always growing.
Yeah, and what I found really interesting in the source material was this point about how much home care agencies rely on referrals, heavily, but like the source says, very few seem properly set up for it. They don't have the right skills or the tools or maybe the systems to actually get those referrals. Sounds like a bit of a catch-22, doesn't it? You need the referrals to grow, but you need to be visible to get the referrals in the first place. And it seems many just kind of expect their franchisor, the main company, to provide that local support, that guidance, to show up online and build that local buzz.
And that's such a critical point, because here you have this Georgia branch, good local team, great leadership apparently, getting some promising results on the ground. But they just didn't have the presence or the support or the visibility they needed to really compete effectively. Without that strong local presence, both physical and digital, tailored to their specific patch, well, they were struggling to get clients, losing out right where families often start looking, especially in a crisis situation.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just the competition outside, was it? There were these internal hesitations too. Like initially, they weren't quite ready for the cost of a full-time salesperson. And apparently, they'd had a bad experience with a marketing agency before, so they were understandably a bit gun-shy about trying again. Even though they'd seen some impressive results Rockstig had gotten for another healthcare client, it really shows, doesn't it? They didn't need another sales pitch. They needed a roadmap, something that fit their speed, their comfort level. Overcoming those past negative experiences, that's a common hurdle.
Totally. So what did Rockstig suggest? Well, they got the caution. They started with a pretty modest budget proposal, just aiming to get the agency some initial visibility, baby steps. They even offered a scaled-down version of their main growth system, the Accelerator. Included an experienced but part-time business development rep. For that, boots-on-the-ground presence, it felt like it was designed to build trust, show some value, without demanding this huge leap of faith, financially speaking.
And it wasn't just talk, right? They did this free brand awareness review, delivered a whole action plan, even a video breakdown, showing exactly what needed doing to make this specific location visible, vibrant, credible. Basically, how to become that easy go-to referral source everyone wants to be. So what were the nuts and bolts? What was actually in that roadmap?
Yeah, it wasn't just some generic list. The Rockstig strategy was really built around leveraging Google's local search, which is, absolutely crucial for finding local services like in-home care. For example, embedding a Google map with schema markup. That sounds technical, but it's not just about showing your address. It's like programmatically telling Google, in the language it prefers, exactly what your business is, what you do, and where you do it. That gives your visibility a serious boost in those really specific local searches. Puts you on the map, quite literally.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not just having a map, it's making sure Google understands how that map connects to the actual services you offer nearby.
Precisely. And they also recommended creating localized service pages. Pages that match how real people search. Because people don't just Google in-home care. They search for in-home care Buckhead, or maybe senior support Sandy Springs. right? So these localized pages, they directly fight that unknown brand problem by pulling in really targeted leads, people looking right there. Then there was, the standard but essential stuff. Optimizing the on-page SEO, improving content with blogs, FAQs, internal links, and really beefing up their brand authority using a full Google Business Profile strategy. Every piece was designed to build this solid digital footprint that Google would recognize and prioritize.
Those sound like very concrete steps. So if they'd done all that, what was the potential upside? What results was Rockstig actually projecting for this Georgia branch? Because like we said, they had the team, they had the services, but without that local visibility, they were kind of stuck.
The potential results, they were huge. Yeah. Really significant if the plan had gone ahead. Rockstig projected, get this, a plus 500% increase in search rankings within just 90 to 120 days. Just think about that for a second. A 500% jump in visibility. That means instead of being buried on page 5 of Google, you're suddenly, potentially, a top option for family searching, often in a real time of need.
Wow. A 500% increase in search rankings. That's not just tweaking things. That's a complete transformation in how often families would even see this agency exists. What does that actually mean for the business, though? Like, in practical terms?
Well, it translates directly into more business. They projected a 3x to 5x increase in organic local website visits, actual people clicking through. Top 3 placement in the local Google Map pack. That's, prime digital real estate. Super valuable. They also would likely see stronger alignment with referral sources, more credibility with doctors' offices, social workers, hospitals, because they'd actually show up when those professionals were looking online for trusted partners. And crucially, much higher visibility in those non-branded local searches. When families are looking for care, but might not even know the CareBuilders name yet.
Okay, that paints a really powerful picture of what that targeted digital strategy could do locally. But It begs the question, right? If the potential was so clear, the plan was so actionable, the initial investment relatively modest, why didn't it happen? What went wrong?
And that is the absolute crux of this case study. That's where it gets really interesting. The source talks about the follow-up. Rockstig sent a detailed video and email laying out everything that needed to change. Keywords, map embeds, local content.
Yeah.
It was all there, clearly laid out.
And here's the really puzzling part you mentioned. These were things that, according to Rockstig, probably should have already been done, like by the main franchise system itself, sort of fundamental stuff. But despite this clear plan and the local branch owner apparently appreciating the insights, the owner was hesitant to push these recommendations up the chain to the franchise. So if these were such basic steps, almost table stakes for a local franchise, does that point to a bigger systemic issue within that franchise model? Or is this just a one-off case where the local guys weren't getting the support they needed?
It definitely leans heavily towards a systemic issue, and that's what makes this so fascinating, I think. The source floats a few possible reasons for that hesitation. Maybe intimidation over cost, even though the initial proposal was modest. Maybe just antiquated acceptance, like this is just how things are within the franchise system. Or maybe it just got lost in the corporate decision-making maze. But the really insightful observation, the zinger, is this quote, "Franchise systems are rarely designed to truly benefit the local branch." That points to a really profound potential problem, right? The idea that the structure of the larger organization itself can unintentionally create this kind of corporate immune system, where anything new, even if it's clearly beneficial locally, gets treated like an intruder and is rejected, or at least just stalls out indefinitely.
Wow. So the real deep dive takeaway here isn't just the obvious, you need to act on good advice, we know that. It's more about the massive impact that organizational inertia, these outdated systems, especially maybe in franchise models, can have, even on really promising local efforts. This case study kind of shows how internal resistance, or maybe just structural roadblocks, can become a bigger competitor than anyone out there in the actual market.
Absolutely. This deep dive really hammers home that just identifying problems and having clear solutions, well, it isn't always enough, is it? The willingness, and maybe more importantly, the organizational capacity to actually act on those solutions, that's just as critical, especially when you're dealing with these complex structures, like a franchise.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you, the listener, whether you're trying to get smart for a meeting or you're just curious, this really highlights how vital it is for any business, big or small, to figure out how to overcome those internal hesitations, how to navigate potential resistance, whether it's from higher ups or just old embedded ways of doing things. It's a really powerful lesson in missed opportunities, isn't it? And the importance of being ready, not just tactically, but organizationally ready to grab growth when it's offered.
Exactly. So as you think about this, here's maybe a provocative thought to leave you with. In today's fast-moving markets, how much does the inherent structure of an organization, the often unseen wiring, whether it's a franchise, big corporation, even a small independent shop, how much does that structure actually determine its ability to embrace change? To truly leverage opportunities for growth, even when the path forward seems crystal clear? Is the biggest barrier to progress ever truly external? Or is it often hiding in plain sight, right inside the organization itself?